Good evening, everyone. I'm Sarah, and you're watching NBC Nightly News. Tonight we're going to be looking at a very important topic discussed in our English classrooms, and that is new criticism. So what is new criticism, and how can we apply it to the adventures of Huckleberry Finn? Myself, Jessica, and Bebe are going to give you the answers. New criticism is a method in which text is examined with minimal regards to historical or biographical backgrounds. New critics are known for treating a work of literature as if it were its own object. They believe the structure and meaning of the text are intimately connected and should not be analyzed separately. They wish to reveal the coherence and unity of the work. Famous new critics include T.S. Eliot, I.A. Richards, William Empson, and William K. Wimsatt. These new critics helped bring to the fore a new style of analysis, close reading. Close reading pays really close attention to the style and form of the text, rather than where or when it came from. For our next point, we'll be taking it to Jessica.
Thanks, Sarah. What you look for in new criticism are literary devices such as juxtaposition, metaphors, similes, symbols, etc. Basically, all you have to do is complete a close reading of the text. Pay attention to every little element and find out how they all work together in order to unify the piece and make it distinct. Then hash out the relations between that and the text's meaning. Think, how does this text work? Find a unifying idea or theme which resolves these tensions. A mediocre work may contain complexity, but the elements never come together in coherence. For example, say you're going to use the new criticism theory to analyze the novel The Great Gatsby. You would closely read the text and identify different elements and determine how they unify the piece. For example, one symbol in the novel is the green light. Located at the end of the Buchanan stalk, this green light represents Gatsby's ultimate aspiration to win Daisy's love. Nick's first vision of Gatsby is of his neighbor's trembling arm stretched out towards the green light. Later, after Daisy and Gatsby's successful reunion, a mist conceals the green light, visibly affecting Gatsby. This image suggests Gatsby realizes he must face the reality of Daisy rather than the ideal he created for her. For our next point, we'll be taking it to Bebe.
So what kind of complexities can you find in the text? When reading a text closely, everything should contribute to the work's unifying idea. You can find a variety of literary devices that add to the complexity of the work's unity, such as paradoxes, irony, diction, imagery, point of view, and so forth. Also, remember to look for oppositions, tensions, and ambiguities present in the text. Now, how does new criticism apply to Huckleberry Finn? For example, the Mississippi River and raft represents freedom for both Huck and Jim. The two find safety and peace of mind when on the raft. Whenever they step foot on land, they find themselves getting into trouble. As Huck and Jim's journey progresses, the river, however, which once seemed a paradise and a source of freedom, becomes merely a short-term means of escape that nonetheless pushes Huck and Jim even further toward danger and destruction. Now for another example, we'll be heading back to Jessica.
Another way where this applies to Huckleberry Finn is through the theme of civilization versus freedom. The main theme of the novel is the struggle between civilization and freedom. After all, at the very beginning of the book, Huck despises life at the widow Douglas's home because she tries to force him to be too civilized. It is only when he escapes to the river, and especially to his raft, that Huck truly feels free. In addition, throughout the book, every time that Huck and Jim approach civilization, something terrible happens. Whether they become embroiled in a feud, joined by tricksters, or nearly caught, civilization never brings much happiness or freedom to either Huck or Jim. In fact, time after time, Twain points out the hypocrisy of society, which professes to be more civilized than Huck or Jim, which forces Huck to reject. Also, from the beginning of the book, the theme of the inhumanity of people towards their fellow people becomes clear. After all, Huck's father terrorizes Huck, trying desperately to rob him of his fortune and take him back. Throughout the book, the Duke and the Dolphin continue this theme, first by tricking the innocent Wilkes girls, and then by betraying Jim. Huck learns that people are not to be trusted, a theme which Twain obviously believes to be important. In addition, the theme of the struggle to follow your conscience returns again and again throughout the novel. Besides making its appearance when Huck and Jim need to steal food, or when they decide to pretend that the two rascals are truly a duke and a king, the theme reappears again in Huck's decision to help Jim escape. At some points, Huck is sure that he will turn Jim in. while others he feels guilty that he is harming Miss Watson by stealing her slave. In addition, he berates himself even more when he learns that Jim would try to steal his children back, because he feels that he is hurting a man that has never harmed him. The reader, of course, knows that Huck's conscience is the one prompting him to save Jim in the first place. This conflict, however, between right and wrong exists within all of mankind, and Twain weaves it through his novel as one of the primary themes. Another example of how this applies to Huck Finn is through the characters. Twain uses the characters to represent certain characteristics of Americans. Huck, for example, is a typical American frontiersman. He is keen and cunning at times, but above all, he is a realist. Tom, though he possesses many of the same qualities, is less of a realist because he romanticizes his world through his love for adventure. And for the last example, we'll be taking it to Sarah.
Our last example is juxtaposition between the widow's house and the raft. Both of these are homes throughout the novel, however they give Huck two very different lifestyles. In the widow's house, life is strict and civilized, yet on the raft, it's the complete opposite. Together, these examples make it easier to find how new criticism can be applied to Huckleberry Finn.
Now that we've talked about how new criticism applies to Huckleberry Finn, we will now show you how a new critic would read a passage from the book. If you read the passage, you can see that Huck is admiring the Grangerfords' home. If you read closely, you can tell that there's a lot of detailed imagery describing the house. Examples are, it didn't have an iron latch on the front door nor a wooden one with a buckskin string. There was a big fireplace that was bricks on the bottom, and the bricks were kept clean and red by pouring water on them and scrubbing them with another brick. There was a clock on the middle of the mantelpiece, with a picture of a town painted on the bottom half. With prior knowledge to Huck and Pap's house, it is a huge contrast with the Grangerfords' house. Huck and Pap's house is characterized to be lazy, unkempt, and unorganized, whereas the Grangerfords' household is characterized to be sophisticated, civil, and literate. This contrast between their households are present in order to show the huge gap in the time period's social class between the wealthy and poor. However, despite their sophistication, the Grangerfords are still hypocritically engaged in a meaningless feud with the Shepherdson family. These complexities of unique comparison and imagery of the passage helps add to the novel's unifying idea of corrupt society and hypocrisy.
Thank you for watching. This has been Sarah Reed, Jessica Vu, and Bebe Tran on NBC Nightly News.